I'm excited to see where you guys go from here. Well, you go from here and your quilt troops.
Too.
I look forward to one day being able to go to a quilt camp and sleep in a bunk and fall out of a kayak and sew in the wilderness. I see a moose. But all of those things and get the badge. That's I got
You got to do it for the badge. If anything, do it for the badge.
You're listening to Fussy Cutters Club podcast, a show that gives you permission to cut into the good fabric so you can make quilts you love. And now your host, who believes it's not a crime to love using novelty fabrics, Ange Wilson.
G'day Fussy Cutters, welcome back to the Fussy Cutter Club podcast. Today we are talking with Megan from Quilt Scouts. Now, this is a really interesting chat because Megan has come up with an idea that when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, that's so simple, that's so obvious, that's so smart. Why didn't I think of that? Or why hasn't that existed before? And I guess that's one of the things about a really genius idea is it seems really simple and obvious, but it takes someone with courage and vision and, I borrow a Yiddish term, chutzpah, to really get it underway and get it out there in the world. And Megan has done that with Quilt Scouts. I'm really excited about Quilt Scouts. I am envious of those of you that can go to quilt camp that's happening later in this year because it just sounds so wonderful. It is ingenious and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Let me know if you join Quilt Scouts. I think we should all join Quilt Scouts and have fun together as a giant troop. But yeah, let me know. I really hope you are excited to learn more about Quilt Scouts and just get inspiration for another way to have fun with quilting. So without further ado, let's get chatting. Welcome, Megan, to Fussy Cutters Club. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I'm very excited because I love a good collectible and you've made quilting collectibles. Can you tell us a little bit about, I love the name Quilt Scouts. Can you tell us how you got started, what the premise is, how I can get badges because I want to collect?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So Quilt Scouts, we're actually just coming up on our 1-year anniversary. So super excited. We've been around. It's been a very busy, very exciting first year of Quilt Scouts. But the concept essentially came about to create badges that, like the equivalent of the merit badge for the Boy Scout or the Girl Scout, that we can earn as quilters. And being adventurous within our quilting journey and pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone to try new things, new techniques, maybe work with a new color palette you've never, worked with before, and earning badges along the way. So the badge is kind of like the carrot that we're dangling in front of us quilters to hey, let's try something new, right?
Yep.
And like you said, we all love a good collectible. And I think the badge is really nostalgic for a lot of us too. So we have a lot of folks within the community that are like, yes, I was a Girl Scout, I was a troop leader, this is my jam. And now I get to earn badges of my own. So I think that's really resonated with a lot of people is that, like I said, the opportunity to earn a badge. And yeah, that's kind of Quilt Scouts in a nutshell. There's a whole lot more that we do, but.
So can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a quilter? Are you from a long line of quilters? Are you a late bloomer? Did you come to quilting later in life? How did you get the bug?
Yeah, I don't have anyone in my immediate family that quilts. My great-grandmother was a quilter. I have a couple quilts of hers, but I didn't know her very well. I think she passed when I was really, really little. But that's the only quilter in my family that I know of. I personally started quilting just a few years ago. It was late 2019 when I kind of went down the YouTube rabbit hole, watching quilt tutorial videos and things like that. I had sewed before. I've done other crafts. I've always been kind of crafty and creative, but I had never tried quilting and just saw it. And I was like, I'm going to try making a quilt. And, bought a few things, bought a few little tools and some fabric and just kind of made it up as I went. I didn't have a pattern or anything. And just loved it. And just kind of went from there. I started making some baby quilts for friends and a couple quilts for my own, and finally found a quilt pattern, like a proper quilt pattern. And it blew my mind. I was like, oh, okay, there's instructions that can go along with this. That's exciting.
Yep. It's like a cook finding recipe books. That's what I always kind of like. You start off cooking and you're just throwing stuff together, and then you're like, oh yeah, recipe books exist where people tell you combinations. Yeah.
Someone's already done all the work for me. This makes so much more sense.
Yeah, to not have to do quilt math.
That poor first quilt. Yeah, exactly. Well, the irony is now I have to do quilt math because I write patterns and stuff too. So it's like, it's come full circle. But yeah. So that's kind of where I got started. So I'm a relatively new quilter. I mean, only 5 or 6 years that I've been quilting.
But I'm the same.
Apparently I jumped in the deep end.
Well, we don't have anyone in our family that's a quilter either. My gran used to sew, and she gave me her sewing machine when she moved into a assisted living kind of place, which is really cool. But I failed home ec at school. So my sewing teacher said to me, do not touch a machine. You are better off outside. So I completely understand coming to it later in life and getting addicted. So would you say that your style is more modern or contemporary? Do you like the traditional? What's your jam?
Man, I feel like I've gone through different iterations, I guess, of my quilting style. I started off, I would say, very modern, and I'm kind of leaning more into more saturated colors and a little bit more scrappy lately. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that puts me kind of more contemporary. Yeah. I definitely wouldn't call myself traditional, but somewhere in modern contemporary-ish.
It's really difficult, and I always think it's a difficult question to answer unless you are really niched down into what you like to do. Because I think all of us like to dabble, and until you get to the end of your life and look back and you go, oh yeah, I was this quilter. But in
hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah. I'll leave it to the historians to say what kind of quilter I was. So with Quilt Scouts, how do I become a Quilt Scout? I wasn't allowed to join the Scouts as a kid, so this is very exciting to me.
Oh, yeah. So we are essentially an online membership, and we are open worldwide. So we actually have quilters all over the world. We have a few in Australia, several in Europe. And it's an online membership that you join. It's a monthly subscription. And then as a Quilt Scout, you get a free monthly badge, or a free badge every month as part of your membership fees. And we ship those internationally as well. But lots of folks, buy additional badges as they earn them and stuff like that to kind of get their collection going. But I can give you a link if you want to add it to your show notes or whatever. But just go online to quiltscouts.com and you guys can sign up and join Quilt Scouts, and kind of get your Quilt Scouts journey going.
Now, a bit of a technicality. Do I have to earn the badge, or can I just say I got the badge?
Oh, that's a really good question. I haven't been asked that before. So we always say this is it's the honor system. Yeah. So you don't have to turn in any homework or prove that you earned it. It's really if you feel like you met the challenge or, did what was at the spirit of the badge, then you are welcome to order it and add it to your collection. And there are some people that have been quilting a long time and have done all of the things, but they're kind of starting over present day. Okay, from this point forward, as I do these challenges, I'm going to earn them, even though they've done them, previously. And then we have a lot of new quilters that are joining that have never done any of these things. And they're, again, just kind of earning them as they go. But it's definitely just on the honor system is how we have it set up.
Okay. So can you give me an example of what some of the badges are?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have, let's see, the first one we did was quilt photography. So let me back up a little bit. So we have badges that are very specific to quilt techniques, like foundation paper piecing, English paper piecing. We have big stitch quilt binding, scrappy quilts, things like that. And then we have what I call quilt adjacent, which would be quilt garment or quilt show submission, mentoring a new quilter, visiting quilt museum, your local quilt museum. And then the other tier of badges would be kind of very adventurous, hiking for quilt photos, picnicking on a quilt. This month, the month of April, we're actually featuring the stargaze on a quilt. So the whole month we're talking about equipment for stargazing, where to find, like where to go, how to find like dark sky, the kind of quilt you'd want to pack for that type of adventure, things like that. So we have kind of like those 3 different categories of badges. And right now I think I have 35, creeping up to 40 badges available. And I actually have put together an entire guidebook which explains each badge, the purpose of the badge, and then how to earn it. And that's online too on the website.
Okay, so is there a badge for introverts? People who don't like to go outside. Because I hear a lot of stuff about going outside, and I'm like,
Like, there's a lot of outdoorsy stuff happening right now.
back up.
I don't have that specific badge, no, but you are welcome to submit it on as an idea. I actually have we have a forum set up, not a forum, a Google form set up so people can submit badge ideas. And I have so many good ones just like kind of lined up. They're like piling up right now. I'm like, I have to start like producing these badges, but put it out there. Like we have some really creative ones that people have come up with.
Yeah, and that was going to be one of my questions is, can I submit a Fussy Cutters badge? I actually think you do have. Did I see that you have?
I don't have one. That would be a good one. I didn't even think of that one. See?
I will sponsor the badge.
Fussy cutting. I do have a quilting podcast.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that.
We did that one in January, I think we featured it. So each month we highlight a badge. You don't have to earn that badge that month, but we just like basically spotlight it and provide like all of the material to like really dive in and like earn that badge. And either I create tutorials or blog posts to go along with it, or like I direct, resources like, hey, if you want to learn about this to earn this badge, like here's a great resource for you, things like that. And that's all within the membership.
That is such a good idea.
We did the quilting podcast one back in January. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
No, but it is like, it's a way to, and they talk about it in all the nerdy fields. They go, oh, you've got to gamify. If you want people to achieve something, you have to gamify it. So, gamify weight loss or gamify sleeping or whatever. But this is like a nice way of gamifying something. You're getting, and you've released a pattern for the Hey Scout quilt pattern, which is such a smart idea. It's a quilt pattern that is all pennant flags and a badge, like a pin holder. You normally see them.
Yes,
And it gives people something to attach all their quilt badges to, which, again, genius idea. Do you have a badge for making that pattern?
We did a quilt along for it, and I had a badge for the quilt along. So people joined in on the Hey Scout quilt along. Yeah, they could get the badge.
See?
So I have some retired badges that are still available. They're just not they're not as active right now.
So it is possible to get some of the, you have a time limit on getting them, so they become collectible, like you had to be around at the start to get these ones? Do you have, or is it they will always be in production, you can start at any time? Or
no, some of them are limited. Like I had the very first badge was the founding member badge. So those were for folks that signed up like right out the gate that, were kind of integral in like launching the membership. And those are, I only ordered, we only produced so many of those. I wanted to make sure that all the founding members got one. And I think I have like a small handful left, but I'm not going to order more of those. And then we have a few special event ones. I did one for QuiltCon, for a couple of the quilt alongs we've done, things like that, and those are just limited. So
that's such a good idea. It is, and it's a great way to, if you're at QuiltCon and you see a fellow Quilt Scout in the wild, you can actually talk to them about, you've got that in common to break the ice, which is, we've all got quilting in common, but this is just another level of connection, I guess, which is really lovely, especially because it's global. Yeah. It's not just set to America or Europe. But you do have, did I read it? You've got scout leaders, like troop leaders, or is that?
Yes, that's something new that we've been doing recently, is setting up, basically trying to figure out a system or a structure of having Quilt Scout troops locally for people. So if they want to meet up, if all the Colorado quilters, if we wanted to meet up locally and either quilt or go for a hike, or whatever it is we want to do.
Or sit inside.
We can do that. So we're calling them base camps. Or sit inside for us indoorsy quilters, the introverts, right? More indoorsy.
Indoor quilt picnic.
We're calling them base camps. Yes, exactly. So, look at quilt business, yeah. And then each of those base camps have like a leader, and we're calling them like their troop leaders for like the local troop. So we're still kind of like organizing and structuring that, but there's more on that about the website as well. I actually have a directory I've set up so you can go and see where the closest base camp is to you. And if there isn't one, you can start your own. Okay. And a lot of them are being started either like fabric shops or quilt shops, or even like the local library. You know, you can rent space at the library. Yep. So we had some folks reach out about that, just so they can, get people involved in Quilt Scouts. So that's been really fun.
What an awesome idea. Except you'd have to leave. For those of us that don't like to leave the house, you also do virtual quilt retreats as well, don't you? Like you have sit and sews.
We've done... Yeah, we did. Well, we did one quilt. Our first quilt camp was virtual. That was like our virtual quilt retreat that we did back in October. And then within the membership portal, we're on a platform called Circle. Yep. So within Circle, we can actually go live at any time. And people have been setting up like live sew times where they can get together and just chat and sew or whatever. And that's, again, all within the membership or like on the Circle platform. And then we are about to host our first in-person quilt retreat this fall in September. It's our quilt camp again. It's going to be the 2025 quilt camp is going to be in person this year.
Wow.
So that's super exciting.
Yeah. So we use Circle as well for Society Gnome, which is the little,
nice.
Yeah. And I find Circle's a really good platform because it's intuitive. It is easy to get around. Like you said, people can go live. You can connect with each other. You can direct message. It doesn't belong to Meta, which I also really like.
Yes.
And so...
Yes. People love that it's not on social media. Yep. So you don't get stuck, on Facebook or Instagram doom scrolling. It's its own thing. Yep. So I really love that it's separate from social media.
Yeah, me too. And so I guess the retreat that's happening in person, where are you holding that? Let me guess, there's going to be hiking involved.
We don't have all the details worked out yet, but there'll probably be like a morning hike, like a little, like we'll call it a nature walk. It'll be like low key.
That's lovely.
It is going to be at a summer camp location in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
In the Poconos.
Yep.
So I've teamed up with basically a group that specializes in hosting camp themed like events and retreats. Yep. So it's going to be a pretty authentic summer camp experience for us, millennials and whatnot that are really, just craving a nostalgic throwback summer camp experience. It's going to be basically a summer camp meets a quilt retreat. So there's going to be free time, sew time for quilting. And then also with a mix of some adventurous like summer camp stuff. It's on a lake, so we can go kayaking, we can go for a morning hike, we can do all those things. We're going to be planning on having like nightly campfires with s'mores and that kind of thing. So, but it's all in the works. We're still working on all the plans, but that's what we're going for.
So is there cabins? Like we don't have, this is a purely American thing for me because we don't have summer camp here. And so our kids stay home for 6 weeks at summertime. And just the idea that you could go somewhere and hang out in cabins and have fire pits and sit around the fire pit at nighttime. And then you can all be huddled in your quilts around the fire as well. Like it's just, it sounds like such a great experience. And again, I'll have the link.
I mean, I think it does. We haven't launched it yet, but I feel like it sounds idyllic.
I know. I'm just like, can I get to Pennsylvania? Probably not. Then I'm like, where could we do one here? Because it's such a great idea of having, and I'm assuming that people can earn badges while they're at retreat as well. So if you're working on something or you need somebody else to help you get, I don't know, like the quilt photography one, you need a quilt holder. There's going to be people that can help at quilt camp to do that as well. So I guess, does your family think you're crazy for starting Quilt Scouts?
If they do, they haven't admitted it. No, they're all like very supportive. My husband he is my biggest cheerleader and he's such a great support. And then my mom as well has really gotten into, she is I want to say an honorary Quilt Scout, but she is a Quilt Scout member, but she doesn't quilt, but she attended QuiltCon with me. And I think she's going to come to quilt camp as well. So she's been loving just like getting to be a part of, the community. Like I said, she doesn't even quilt, but she just loves the community aspect of it. So she's super supportive. And then I have some of my best quilty friends. Again, they're like my biggest cheerleaders and biggest support. I definitely could not have pulled any of this off without them cheering me on along the way. I would not have been brave enough to do it.
Yeah. So are you a graphic designer in your day job? What gave you the background to go, I'm going to make quilt badges? Like, how did that come about?
So in a former life, I was actually a chiropractor and I had a chiropractic practice. So kind of a bit of a 180, but I sold that and then got more into this creative business. But I've always been pretty creative. Like I've always done art classes and photography classes and, painted and just understood like color theory and things like that. So like the design part of it, I don't want to say it came naturally to me, but I was able to kind of put together some designs and stuff like that just with that background.
Which is a really good encouragement to anybody else who's sitting on a genius idea and thinks that they need all of the paper, diplomas, degrees, whatever. It really is just a case of having a go and making it happen. And I'm assuming that your quilty friends, your husband and your mum were the people you went to for advice?
Absolutely. I was like, as soon as I had the idea, I was like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Like, does this seem like this would be cool?
Yeah. So then are they...
And of course, they hyped me up,
Of course. But are they the people that you bounce the ideas off and get your business stuff from? Or do you have someone else that you go to for... did you do some sort of online course in how to run a business? Or, I guess running the chiropractic practice, you understood what you needed to do to be in business. So basically
that helped.
Yeah. You've just done everything by trial and error?
I would say a mix of both. Yeah, I feel like owning my chiropractic practice was a huge learning experience, just in how to structure a business, run a business, and all of that. And then I took a course on pattern writing. That was kind of my first introduction to quilt business, was the pattern writing course that I took. So I learned a lot there. I listened to a lot of business podcasts, membership podcasts. So I learned a lot from there, or learning online, the school of YouTube, things like that. But then, I learn a lot from my peers, and they're my sounding board for a lot.
Yeah. So this is we're closing out your first year. Obviously, you've got big plans. Do you think that you will translate the badges into, so at the moment they're fabric badges? Patches, right? Like old school.
They're embroidered patches. Yeah.
So, do you think that you'll do it in like pins, or I know that you're wearing a shirt that says quilts on it. Do you do?
Oh yeah, I just got that.
I know, it's lovely.
Like one of my QuiltCon, things. Anyway.
Do you think that you'll branch out into like apparel or, coffee mugs or things like that so people can scream their quilty pride?
Yeah, we do have apparel. Yeah. So I have, let me turn and actually look at my merchandise shelf. So we have the embroidered patches, we have stickers. Yep. So each badge, you have the option to purchase it as an embroidered patch or a sticker. I pitched the idea of also having pins, and the majority did not like the pin idea. So we scrapped that. But I have embroidered patches like Quilt Scout patches and more stickers. We have hats, caps, and beanies, sweatshirts, t-shirts. And so we have a badge logbook. So it's actually where people can put the stickers, a place for the stickers, and then they can journal each badge and how they earned it and, what they accomplished smart. And any notes they have on it. So, so that's been really fun too. And I think that's most of the things that we have available right now, as well as I have fabric for quilt kits, project kits, and different curated kits that I have for each badge. Yeah. So this next month, we're going to be featuring the English paper piecing badge. So I'm putting together curated kits for English paper piecing for those that are new to EPP and want to get started with it. So stuff like that.
And EPP is great for fussy cutting. If any of you out there are looking to learn EPP, it's a great gateway drug to fussy cutting.
Yes.
So is there anything left then that you haven't done that you kind of this is coming? Or is there a Quilt Scout ambassador that you'd love to get to join Quilt Scouts?
Ooh, that's a great question. I've never thought about that. If I could have anyone join Quilt Scouts, who would it be? That type of thing? Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to answer that question. No, I can't. Yeah. I really can't think of anyone off the top of my
Remember when, do you remember when, what's her name from, she hosted a chat show. She was a singer, American Idol. Kelly Clarkson did
Kelly Clarkson?
Kelly Clarkson did quilts for the Voices judges. She actually went into Anna Maria Horner's Craft South shop and bought all the fabric and everything and taught herself how to quilt and gave the Voices judges quilts. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the photo on Instagram.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and everyone was so excited that she was a quilter. Like, it was just so... Like, when I went out, the whole quilt people were like, oh, Kelly Clarkson. I'm like, that's what you need. You need Kelly Clarkson to join Quilt Scouts.
Yes. All right, Kelly Clarkson. We're putting it out there into the universe. If you want to join Quilt Scouts.
Or Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift would be massive. I often go, that would be unreal for our community if Taylor Swift suddenly
Could you even imagine? Yeah, I bet Kelly Clarkson blew up quilting with that.
Yeah, and I think it was just... at the start of COVID or during COVID. So she it was really funny at the time. And then
funny.
My husband was like, who else do you think's a quilter in the music industry? And I'm like, I don't know, bud. I don't think Lady Gaga's sitting around making avant-garde quilts. But you never know.
She's just sitting back, just hand sewing in her studio. She's got downtime.
Yeah, but I had, I think Adele is a knitter. I read somewhere or heard somewhere that I think she knits. So I'm like, there are obviously crafty people in the...
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it made me giggle.
I had no idea.
I know. I just kind of go, all right. Oh, but there was an Australian singer who's very popular, specifically in Australia. She came out as a quilter probably 12 months ago, 18 months ago, and had her first exhibition of quilts and stuff. And that was a really big deal. They were like, this lady's doing an old woman craft. And you're like, it's not an old woman craft, but okay. So,
I know, the misconceptions is just so funny. I think the only famous, well-known quilters are started within the quilting community, and they're really probably only well-known to us other quilters. But anyone outside of quilting, like you said, singers, pop, in the pop world, pop culture, I don't know. Can't think of anybody.
No, and I get it.
I had no idea about that with Kelly Clarkson.
But I get excited when I find a fellow quilter in a different sphere, because it's like, when you see someone who's got your same birthday and you're like, oh, that person was born on the same day as me. And then now I'm like, that person's a quilter too, loves fabric. But yes, so that...
Instant bond.
I mean, Martha Stewart would be a great quilt scout.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine Martha Stewart as a troop leader.
Always.
Yeah.
I know. Could you imagine? I don't know if I would love that or be scared.
Imagine if she brought Snoop Dogg with her to quilt camp.
Oh, okay. Well, if we could get Snoop Dogg, that would be...
That'd be a camp and a half. But yes.
Yes, it would be.
So I guess, is there... you did touch on the fact that you do write patterns and you have a side hustle, I don't know whether you could call it that, where you do actually release patterns of your own.
Yeah.
Has it been an adventure being a quilt pattern designer? Was it when you first started and what you know now, do those two things marry up, or was it completely different for you?
No, that was very new to me. And then even from my first pattern I've written to the designs I do now are so different. I would hate to go back and read my first quilt pattern. I feel like it would be terrible. I haven't even looked at it in forever. Don't want to revisit that.
I feel you.
But that was that was a big learning curve for me. It was the quilt math. Oh my gosh. And then having to draw the diagrams. There's a lot that goes into, for those that, if you guys, people aren't aware, there's a lot that goes into writing a quilt pattern and then having it tested and edited. And there was a lot for me to learn, but it's been fun. I've put out a handful of quilt patterns under my Modern Moon Quilt Studio brand, and then shifted over to Quilt Scouts. And then I've been writing patterns for Quilt Scouts, like you mentioned, the Hay Scout, the pennant pattern, and then other smaller projects. I made a sash pattern, and I'm working on a laptop case pattern. So smaller projects that are weekend friendly things, a checkerboard, a quilted checkerboard, things like that. I've written smaller patterns for Quilt Scouts specifically.
So is there a quilt on your quilty bucket list? Do you have a quilty bucket list badge? The quilt you have to make?
No. I need to start writing these down though. So fussy cutting badge.
Quilty bucket list.
Bucket list badge.
Yep.
Gosh, I feel like there's so many patterns I see. Right now, I really love Heather Heck's florally pattern. Yep. Every time I see that on Instagram, I just like my jaw drops. I just think that's one of the most beautiful patterns. And she's really, I think, found her style within that type of, I don't even know what you would call it, like radio kind of pattern. Yep. But that's one of my favorites. I really, really want to make that one.
So you're into
I could probably name a dozen more.
Complicated.
I like a good challenge. Yeah. You know, I like a good challenge, something where I'm going to learn and try something new. So I'm all for that.
Is there a badge for quilt challenge? Like a challenge?
No, I don't have a quilt challenge. I have a badge for a block exchange and UFOs and things like that, but not necessarily like a challenge. Yeah.
Is there a complete a work in progress badge? Is that your UFO one?
Yes, we do. I have it. It's the UFO one. Yeah. It's really cute. It has like a little UFO on it. So yeah, we have that one.
Yeah, I'd never get that one.
I haven't earned that one yet myself. I have a couple whips that I have to finish.
Do you have someone in the community that has all of them? Has earned all of them?
Oh, I don't believe so. I should ask. I should put that out onto the on the circle and ask if anyone's earned all of them, but I don't think so from what I'm aware.
Is there a challenge that you were surprised about how it was received? Like, has there been any surprises for you when you go in planning the challenges, like the stargazing one, and you're pulling all the information together? Has anything happened in any of the challenges where you've gone, oh, I didn't see that going that way?
You know what? The Hike for Quilt Photos one wasn't as popular as I thought it was going to be because of the timing. It got too hot early in the summer, and people were like, "It's too hot. I can't do this. Like it's like 100 degrees here." Like,
weather.
So that one, it was more just poor timing on my part.
Yeah.
But the quilt photography badge was very popular. People really liked that one. Just getting to like know how to really take good pictures of their quilts, because I think people really struggle with that. Yeah. You know, you make this beautiful piece of art, you know, and then you're trying to take pictures and share it on Instagram or on social media, and the pictures just don't do it justice. So like knowing how to frame your quilt, or, you know, frame your photo and then edit it and tweak it and crop it so that it just really shines. I think people really loved that. And that was a really popular badge.
So if I was to join Quilt Scouts today, can I get access to the previous challenges to see all of the information that you provide on, for example, quilt photography? So if someone's out there going, oh, that sounds like something I'd like to do, so they can do it.
Yes, everything is archived on Circle. So all the previous badges and all the content that goes along with that, all of the PDF patterns that I've released free to members is all still available. And it will be for the foreseeable future.
So do you take all of your quilt photos for Quilt Scouts?
I don't. I take a lot of them, but then I've also worked with a professional like brand photographer to get photos for things, and that was really fun. I was just like getting to do a little photo shoot. So
yeah, because the one of the things that I really enjoyed about finding Quilt Scouts was the photography and the very cohesive aesthetic that the brand has. As a brand nerd, I quite enjoy it when people have a clear vision of what they're doing, and then everything kind of seamlessly plays into that aesthetic and that goal. And so it's interesting that you're like, oh, I worked with somebody. So you knew that you needed someone to come in and help. But I'm assuming based on the aesthetic and the conversation that we've had thus far, you had a really strong idea of how that would look, what you would need, how that would work, what you would use it for, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah. It's funny you called yourself a brand nerd, because I feel like I've turned into a brand nerd, and that's something I've really worked hard on. Like the last, I would say 6 months or so, like I kind of had an idea of what the vibe I wanted from the beginning, but then really trying to hone that and like really carry that branding across through the photography, through, you know, the emails I write, the videos that I make, like everything, the wording that I use, just kind of carrying that all through to really, like you said, make a cohesive brand story. And yeah, I just feel like, I don't know where I was going with that or what the question was. No, but that was, some of that was me. And then a lot of that was also working with the brand photographer, and she helped me really create a very cohesive look, which helped.
Yeah. But as a, like we have a little running joke in our family here that my mother and I are really into brand and marketing and understanding how it works. And we went to Disneyland in 2019, and it was like a dream trip for me to go there. Not because I wanted to do the rides or meet the characters or anything like that. Like, I mean, all that was fun. But I wanted to see how Walt Disney had put together a cohesive experience from the minute you entered the park and everything that you did and how it all fed into this world that they had created. And I spent so much time just wandering around taking photos of like branding details, the marketing details, like the swing tags, the paying attention to the colors that were used in Main Street, all of that. And I found someone, actually I think it was Sam Hunter from Hunter's Design Studio, put me onto a podcast about the design behind Disney and all the little bits and pieces that they do in Disneyland.
There's a podcast about that?
There is. It's only like...
Oh, that would be fascinating.
There's only like 8 episodes and they're done... The 2 guys that do it, one of them is a design branding nerd and the other guy is an artist who does licensed artwork for Disney. And they talk about, you know, what was the intention of the scale of Main Street and the forced perspective and then how the writing it down. Yeah, I'll find it and send you the link.
I'm looking for a place. I was like, I need to find this podcast because
I think it's Disney.
Amazing. I love this.
Disney by Design or something. Actually, I should
have it. This is like a marker. That's fine. It works. Disney by Design. That's so good. I love that. Isn't it fascinating though? Like the more you learn about like the branding and just like all of that, you know, the consumer perspective, you know, then you look at these things with a different filter. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's Disneyland for Designers. I was close. Disneyland for Designers. And it's hosted by Mark Bricky and Jared, and I'm going to butcher his last name, is Mariyuma, I think it is. Mariyuma.
Oh, I wouldn't even know how to spell that. Yeah. Okay.
It is good.
Disneyland for Designers. I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That was the thing that I listened to on the flight over from Australia, all 32 hours, was their podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's the thing that I like about our industry too, is if you look at Chula Pink, for example, who I think is the greatest of all time when it comes to really marketing and understanding how her brand works and what she wants to achieve and say. But the cohesiveness and the understanding of what's behind her brand and the motivation for it and getting to know what her audience wants and that junction between what she wants to do as a designer and the overlap of what her audience wants to get. And but nerd alert, I could like all day, and that just she's amazing. Yeah,
like you see something of Tulip Pinks and it's unmistakable. Like that is.
Yeah.
Her branding is, top notch for sure. Yeah.
And I would like, as a quilter, I often think I would like to have a quilt. My goal in making quilts or designing quilts is always, I would like that quilt to hang in a quilt exhibit without a label and people know that I did it and have that kind of thing. And there are a lot of quilters who I think, if you're fans of them, if you were in a, like quilt festival and you're walking around and you just came around the corner and saw a quilt, you'd go, oh, I bet that was made by, and know their style.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a personal goal for me, but
absolutely same here. Yeah. Just to be like, that's, you know, to be, I don't want to say iconic, but just recognizable, you know, that you have a look and a style that is so specific and so unique to you that people know it from a mile away.
Yeah, but I think there's nothing wrong.
I think that's hard to achieve. But
yeah, it is. And I think as this is a bit navel gazing, but as women, we're not taught that it's okay to want to be iconic, to want to have that. Like if someone said to me, you could be the Prada, the Burberry, the Chanel, the one name person of quilting, the Chula, then you go, what's wrong with wanting to do that and to have a style that you go, that's that person, that's their, like no one says to male artists, oh, you want to be Pablo Picasso? No, sorry, that's not for you. You want to be Monet? No, sorry, you can't do that. That's not for you. Get back in the kitchen. But for women, it's a real thing of, and so I always love it when women in the quilting industry have a really distinct style and know what they want to do and
go for it.
Yeah, and I want to say unapologetic about it, but that kind of gives a connotation that they're rude about it, but they're true to who they are. And you see that like with Missouri, with Fat Quarter Shop, with, Riley Blake, with Chula, like they have clear concepts of what they are and who they are, and that's what they go for. And I know this is really funny because you've only been around for a year and I don't want to jinx you, but Quilt Scouts feels like it has that thing to it. You have a really clear concept of who you are and what you want to do, and you're going for it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a huge compliment because, yes, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to just be really clear on, like, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we offer. Join us if you're into it. If not, that's cool too, but just to have that clear, this is what we're about.
Yeah, and your website really talks to the people that want to have an adventure. That's the language you use all the time, that word adventure, to have an experience. You do encourage people to get out of the house, which we know is good for us. But to have that hobby, a lot of times quilting is just contained to the indoor space where you do it. But Quilt Scouts is encouraging people to take that out and about. Wear your badge with pride, wear it on your clothing, wear it on your bag, take the quilt out for a picnic, take it out on a hike.
Yes.
And that's really great. That's great. Is there...
Use the quilts. Enjoy the quilts.
Yes.
Show them off, get them out in the wild. They wash, it's fine. They might get a little dirt on them, but that's, if they wash, it's fine.
So I have entered a few quilts in shows and stuff, and I partner with a girlfriend of mine who does all the quilting, and her and I have this ethos with our quilting where we want them to be stained. They're made to be used. They may hang in a quilt show for a weekend, but then they come home and they're used as blanket forts, or they're used on the couch. They've got chocolate stains on them. They've got wine stains on them. The dog sleeps on them. Like all of those things, because life is too short to quarantine bits and pieces, is too good to be used. And Quilt Scouts, like the idea, please just get a photo of people sitting around the fire wrapped in their quilts at quilt camp, because that's the epitome of what they should be doing with those quilts. So I guess I'm excited to see where you guys go from here, or you go from here, and your quilt troops. I look forward to one day being able to go to a quilt camp and sleep in a bunk and fall out of a kayak and sew in the wilderness. I see a moose. But all of those things, and get the badge.
You got it. You got to do it for the badge. If anything, do it for the badge.
I did it for the badge.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Do it for the badge.
On a tombstone. I did it for the badge.
There you go. I did it for the badge.
Yeah. Because it ties back. We did say at the beginning of this, before we started recording, that no one dies from quilting. It's not life or death. And I think you could have a badge. I died for quilting. And then on the tombstone, I did it for the badge. But yes, it is a really.
It's like the badge no one wants to earn,
But we're all going to earn eventually.
We have one of the newest badges they added was the Rotary Blade Survivor, and we were joking. It's like the badge you don't want to earn, but we all earn it at some point. Like we all have that badge of honor. Like we sliced our finger off nearly with a rotary cutter. So that's one of the funny. It's like one of the funny badges we have, but it's been a popular one.
I did the first time I ever gave myself a decent rotary cutter cut. I did it on an Instagram live in front of an audience.
Oh no!
I know. I was like,
oh no!
And I did it, and I knew I'd nicked it, and I was like, oh, hopefully that's just like a little nick. And then the blood's pooling, and I'm like, reaching for a tissue. Or bandaging my finger, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to go get a stitch.
That's terrible.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you're like, okay, and we're out.
Terrible, but it is completely my style. Like if there was a badge for Klutz, I would have the Klutzy badge. I mean, there is no end to the badges that people can get. Like
yes, I agree.
The longevity of this is amazing because there is things that we all do. And again, in this, and we said we weren't going to be political, but in this environment at the moment where the world seems so divided and it's us against them, the thing that I love about Quilt Scouts is everyone wants the badge. And those, we might have different political views or different life experiences or different whatever, but we can all earn the same badge and we all want the same badge.
We're all working to a similar goal, the same goal. Yeah, exactly.
And the badges.
Yeah, there is such a great camaraderie about it.
I know, like, and it seems like such a great, like, I know this will sound funny. I can't believe anyone didn't think of it sooner. And now that someone has thought of it, I'm like, this is genius. But yeah.
Someone else said that to me too. They're like, it was like right in front of us the whole time.
Yep.
Like, is what I can't remember what they had said, but they're like, it's the thing we always needed, but we didn't know we needed or something. I can't remember how they phrased it, but I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like, because I'm like, this is just gold. Like and there's so, like I said, there is so many things that we all do in common, even if our technique of choice is EPP or FPP or traditional machine piecing. We've still all sliced our finger with a rotary cutter. We've still all stepped on a pin, stabbed ourselves in. The other day I was sewing and I pulled a pin out and it rolled off off my sewing table. And before I could think about it, I slapped my thighs together to catch the pin.
Oh, no.
I caught it.
Ow.
I was like, idiot.
Makes me cringe. I've sat on a needle, like sewing, like I was hand sewing, like set it down, to do something, and then like went back and then like plopped in the couch. I was like, oh,
yeah, because I forget that they're sharp. Like it just, but it was just reflexive to try and catch it. And then I came down, I had to go get a Band-Aid, and the husband's like, "What have you done now?" And I went, "I just caught a pin with my leg." I was like, okay. But yes. So thank you so very much for your time today. Thank you for meeting with us.
Thank you.
I've watched the sun set in your window as we've been talking because different time zones. I cannot wait to see what else you do. And as we've said already in the podcast, all the links will be in the show notes for people to join. You can follow on Instagram. As we've said, Circle is a really robust, secure platform, so no excuses not to join it. Plus, it's not on social media. So, thank you so very much, Megan, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I loved it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Fussy Cutters podcast. Enjoyed listening? Why not subscribe so you'll never miss an episode? Did you know the quickest way to the heart of any podcaster is to leave a review or recommend the podcast to a friend? It's true, it is. Until next week, get out there and fondle that fabric.